Documentary you're about to watch takes you into the lives of children and adults who got sucked into using the drug and couldn't stop.
If you think the problem doesn't affect you, the stories you're about to hear will change your mind.
You'll hear how the addiction starts, how to spot the warning signs, and how to stop if you're hooked.
Now, a look at crystal darkness.
I was a straight-A student. Drugs weren't my thing. Like, getting good grades and making my parents happy was all that was important to me. When I was 14, I had a friend who introduced me to methamphetamine. I was doing it every day. It was like, it consumed me so fast. I couldn't get up without having it. I couldn't wake up without crying because I hated the person I was and I hated the things I had done. And then one day, it's like all my money ran out. And I had to do, what I had to do to get it. And I lost my morals. I lost respect for myself. I forgot how to be a human being. I stole from anything and everyone. I started prostituting. At the time, it seemed like I'm just having sex with somebody, and then I'm making money out of it. And then over time, it became this like, oh my God, I'm going to Tucson to meet some guy, and I'm going way out of my way to make some money. Sleeping in the street, having to throw on every last piece of clothing I have just to stay warm, and using my hand as a pillow in a gutter is the most painful, lonely feeling I've ever had in my entire life. I've never felt more scared. I've never felt more unloved and more uncared for than sleeping in the gutters.
I was just a regular kid, going to school, and once I found meth, all that stopped. And then I started doing it throughout the week, and then I couldn't make it to school, and then I couldn't do anything. I was full-blown schizophrenic. After being up for like 3 or 4 days, I'd have to get in the corner and cover my ears because I could hear voices. I'd be talking to people that weren't there, and then I ended up having a nervous breakdown, like just from the meth. Just everything was so overwhelming. I wanted nothing more than to get sober. I begged people, please put me in treatment, please help me. My mom would always say, why don't, you should just be stronger. Like, why can't you have the willpower, or, what do you need? Like, they wanted to help me, but I didn't know how they could help. 4 years, bachelor's degree, and then I taught for a year, and then, I thought I had it. I thought I had the world, by it. And I didn't, I thought that was like a phase of my life. Meth was a phase. It was like something I did when I was younger. Like nobody could have been more embarrassed than me. Like nobody was more shocked than me. It was like one night and everything was over. At that point, I just spent 6 months just the drugs. It was all about the drugs. It's like the world's going on and you're just stuck. And it would be interesting because I'd watch people as they, went by me or whatever. Like, why can't I just be doing that? Why can't I just be on my way to work? I've gone so low. How do I pull myself back up?
The meth problem is our #1 substance abuse problem. Such a highly addictive substance that once you take a hit or two of meth, you very often become addicted, and that's a very difficult addiction to break.
Prevention efforts and awareness must be targeted at our youth as well to keep them from ever trying the drug in the first place. The problem is so widespread that it is affecting everyone in every walk of life.
You cannot just take this drug and then just walk away from it. It's very, very addictive.
It cuts across all classes, all races. It's a terrible scourge in our community.
Destroys lives. It destroys communities in terms of the impact it has on crime and violence.
Any officer on the street will tell you that it's extremely widespread.
Increase in property crime, we've seen an increase in violent crime, so that its impact is like no other drug that I've ever seen.
The problem is this is all over. In schools, high-class neighborhoods, low-class neighborhoods, you name it, It's there.
It is the entering wedge to 70% of our crime in Arizona. A clear consensus among attorney generals in states across America is that this is our #1 law enforcement headache. It's our biggest problem.
It's extremely important we do something about crystal meth because it's destroying our families, it's destroying our children.
It's designed to destroy your life and your family's life and anyone around you. It's nationwide, it's worldwide. It's the most destructive drug in our history.
According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, a growing amount of the meth provided to the region is manufactured in major production facilities in Mexico, as well as through clandestine laboratories in the Central Valley of California. In these makeshift cookhouses, the drug is made through a chemical process which can use a variety of highly toxic substances. Meth can be introduced to the bloodstream through different ways, including snorting, intake of pills, being smoked, or through needles. It travels to the brain and creates an intense rush that can last many hours. The rush is caused by a sharp increase in the amount of dopamine produced by the brain's neurotransmitters. Dopamine is what creates the sensation of pleasure. The pursuit of a quick fix comes at a tremendous cost. Over time, meth begins to destroy the brain's pleasure receptors, rapidly reducing the effect of the drug. Worse yet, as these receptors shut down, it becomes difficult for the meth user to enjoy pleasure at all. The result is depression, despair, and a continual need to get high over and over again. The drug is now firmly in control.
Didn't even dawn on me that I was missing sleep, losing grip of what was going on in my life. People were starting to notice. I started picking at my skin. The sensation is like, it's almost a heightened sensation that maybe you have maybe a mosquito bite or something. It's just so heightened that you just continuously pick at it. And I was sitting watching TV just picking at myself really high, and by the end of the night, I was a mess. And then it just goes to your face, too. I mean, if you feel like you have a blemish on your face, you start doing the same thing. At one point, I even, took the scissors out, staring in the mirror, picking at stuff. None of my bills were getting paid. I ended up getting thrown out of my house. I never thought I'd be an addict to that extent. Never thought I'd be homeless. I had dreams like I like to think of every other young boy about being, growing up, having a good family, being a good dad. And the worst thing for me was having the times that I did see my children or my ex-wife or my family, just the look of disgust they had on their face, that pity look.
When you take this drug, you don't know what you're going to get. The chemicals that go into this drug, battery acid, ether, these horrible things, you're putting that into your body, and it has a devastating long-term effect.
And you look at them just 12 months later after becoming addicted to methamphetamine, and you can barely tell that it's even the same person.
It can take away a person's muscle tone. It can take away their skin. And then by the time they're finished, they look like a walking skeleton.
They got the gray pallor. Their teeth are all screwed up already. They're losing their hair.
I got bowl burns all over my body because I'm so high I drop the bowl and don't realize it's burning my skin until I smell something weird.
I didn't think of the effects it would have on me. I just thought I would lose weight. You don't look pretty or sexy. It's just a nasty weight loss.
Methamphetamine is extremely dangerous on an individual's heart. It can cause anything from high blood pressure to heart attacks and sudden death.
Our most important resource is our brain power, and meth destroys brain power.
Clinically, we can't tell the difference if somebody's in amphetamine psychosis or paranoid schizophrenic. They look the same.
When I first started doing meth when I was 14, I remember going over to a guy's house, and he kept trying to offer me, give me, so he could have sex with me, and he was about 60 years old. When I first prostituted myself for money, I really didn't want to do it. It was really degrading. It went against everything I believed in, but the addiction was more powerful than what I believed in and what I knew to be wrong. I've been raped twice, and it still did not stop me. My 10-year-old has been with me basically through my whole addiction. I remember I was getting ready to go out, and she was telling me, "Mom, don't go out. I want you to stay home with me." Well, I gave her the cold shoulder, like, I had to get mad. I used anger as a defense. When my kids would say something to me that touched me, I would have to use anger to go ahead and be able to do what I wanted to do. Being 8 months pregnant and out there prostituting my body for drugs and not knowing what I'm doing to her, not really caring. I didn't care. Wouldn't let me care about anything.
You start with just the one door. It's the door of, hey, I'm going to go to the party, and I mean, that door takes you down a pathway, down a tunnel that you don't have the strength to pull out of.
Oh, it's a party when you start, but it takes your life over, and literally you sell your soul to the devil, because it's the devil's candy.
You can control it in a sense until it's too late, and then it's controlling you.
What you're doing when you enter this life is basically you're signing a contract. It's very fine line. You're past that now. Now you're druggy.
It's a dirty, disgusting world. My home life was so happy, and my parents loved me so much. I exchanged it for, houses with cockroaches in them, termites, people that don't brush their teeth ever or take care of themselves.
I would say that it would consist of everything that's inhuman, death, destruction, insanity.
Please bear in mind that on meth, using meth, they're not the same person that you grew up with. And frankly, they're a far more sinister and violent person than you knew.
Young girls who find themselves in environments where they're with a lot of dangerous people who are willing to take advantage of them, you tend to see that happen to like almost every girl that I've treated.
He's like, either you're going to give it to me or I'm going to take it from you. So I laid there and I let him do what he wanted to do to me. Now when we were done, he asked me if it felt good.
It's not just girls. They will ask a young boy on the street, just take your shirt off and we'll give you $200 in drugs, food, and cash. Well, they're setting him up. The next stage is you're going to have to take off more than your shirt. And they actually have video teams that film kids urinating on themselves, and they sell that on the internet.
There were times when I was cooking where I just looked around. I looked at the lives of friends and family, and I was helping destroy them. There I was. I felt like a witch, who's concocting her brew, and I'm helping to just diminish the lives of other people.
If they had dope with them, they were my friend. I was their friend. We'd get high, and then when we were done getting high, we did steal each other's stuff, get in a fight, kick each other out, and it was dirty.
Anyone who does drugs is not your friend. Just there to bring you down more.
Meth addict is the loneliest person I know. Even in a room full of 20 meth addicts, those are the 20 loneliest people I know.
After I started smoking meth, it's like you lose your convictions. I started burning people, lying to people, and then my brother, Eric, I turned him on. I let him try it because I thought it was cool at the time. And I really didn't see the destruction that was going on in my life.
I'm thinking, well, if my little brother can do it, I'm the bigger man. I could step up. I could do anything that he does. And everybody kept telling me, oh, you don't want to do that. It's some bad stuff. It'll change you. And I was like, I can handle it. And I started doing it. And it takes you and amplifies you and just like twists you. It makes like the darker side of you come out. I was good in school. I graduated high school. I made straight A's. And, I thought, oh, I can handle anything. But crystal meth is not to be handled. I know my mom was scared of me. I stole jewelry from her to pawn, money from her account, and that's
We were a devastation, and I remember my mom wouldn't even talk to me anymore.
I went to his wedding. I remember on the way there, I got high. I remember at the wedding, I got high. I even used the wedding candles from his wedding to light the pipe, and I was sitting there thinking, what am I doing? We call it crystal darkness because, I mean, you're stepping into something that's unknown. It takes anybody, and it'll turn you into something that you never expected.
And meth, it's like you think you can just try it one time. Hey, it'll never get me hooked, but it got me, and it got him. And it didn't let us go for a long time.
Crystal meth is the biggest social problem that we have in America today. And it not only affects the one taking this drug, but it affects the whole family. Everyone is involved. And the poor children cannot fend for themselves.
Drug use and child abuse are both scourges on our society.
It is the single greatest contributing factor to child abuse and neglect.
These children are being brought up in homes that are a disgrace. They're health hazards, but again, the drug is so addictive and so destructive that the people using it don't care anymore.
I've gone into houses where the cobwebs are so thick, they have their own dirt. There's boxes and garbage stacked everywhere. When you can walk up to a house and smell it before you get to the front door, that tells you what kind of living conditions those kids are in every day.
There was one particular house that we were in not long ago. The lighting was so dim. As we entered the residence, we were stepping on things that we could hear crunch. We thought it was cereal in the kitchen. It was cockroaches all over the floor.
Children start missing school. They have no parental supervision. The parents are never home. Either that or they're locked in their room someplace.
The money I got, I paid the rent, and it's like, do I want to buy them something to eat, or do I want to get high? So which came first? I got high and left my kids hungry.
I had this little 4-year-old boy running around, and me, and have all these guys over there, and they all had to have guns.
And you just wonder what the long-term impact is going to be on this whole generation of children who are being raised in meth homes.
It's a case of a 15-year-old boy who his parents were cooking, and he happened to light a cigarette above the stove and blew up. He was severely burned. But the parents did not want to, be caught and get in trouble. So they put him in the bathtub, hoping that would somehow take care of it. And by the time help was called, he died of his burns.
See how I love you.
Before meth, I was involved in soccer, and I was like an elementary vice president, and ballet and gymnastics and piano, and my parents worked a lot, so by 5 o'clock in the morning they were gone. I would go to school on my own. We didn't really have sit-down dinners or anything like that, so I kind of had lived my own life. I started using meth when I was 15 years old to try to lose weight with another girlfriend of mine. And from that moment, I was hooked, and I started using it on a daily basis. And everybody always crashes. And, like, the weight I gained back, whatever weight I lost. So, I mean, it puts you right back where you started from, but, like, 10 times lower. And it was a quick fix, and quick fixes aren't lasting. Everything who I was basically in the pipe that I smoked. And as soon as it was gone, I couldn't even, like, lift my arm up. You don't really know you have a problem until the drugs run out, and then you realize you need them in order to function. The low point would be letting something control me that I thought for so long I was so smart that I could control it. Knowing that the rest of my life I'm going to wake up and want it, I think that's pretty low.
world is moving as fast as it is today, we've got to just remember that your son or daughter, it just takes one moment of weakness.
If we can prevent them from using meth before the age of 18, we have a much higher chance of preventing them from ever using meth.
Just because you live in a good neighborhood or your child goes to church with you on the weekend, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not getting addicted to this drug.
How can anybody say in the environment we live today that it's never going to happen to my kid? How can they say that? There's too many pressures out there, too much.
And one of the things that's so important that parents need to know is that if they have a conversation with their children about drugs, their child is up to half as likely to use drugs.
Start talking about it now, because the younger they are, the more likely they are to listen. You're going to be more effective with the 11-year-old than you are the 16-year-old.
The parents need to tell their children about the devastating effects of this drug. You have to make responsible choices and don't give in to peer pressure.
Kids listen to their parents. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but parents can make a difference. And they need to let their kids know that this is a serious problem, that it's something that can destroy their life.
Parents, unfortunately, and perhaps understandably, have an extraordinary ability to rationalize. One of the things we have to do through information and education is to cut through the clutter and make sure that parents know the signs and accept them for what they are.
The normal warning signs, you know, change in friends, grades may or may not go down, but will eventually go down, sleeping at odd hours of the day and being awake at odd hours of the night, loss of weight, the physical symptoms, you know, where the sunken cheeks, sunken in eyes tend to happen pretty quick. And when those do happen, for parents to step in, intervene immediately.
I'm not sure what holds parents back from asking their kids what's going on. Their young child had a brain tumor. They'd be picking up the phone, calling for help, demanding tests be done. It's the same thing. It's just as deadly.
Well, I think parents need to be conscious of the fact that the most dangerous influence for kids to take meth or other drugs are peers. So they need to watch who the children are associating with. They need to be teaching them the skills that are needed to stand up to peer pressure.
Start getting worried, you know, middle school, elementary school, and know what's going on before that, because if you get worried when they're in high school, it's too late.
Each and every one of us has to take a stand. We have to draw a line in the sand. We need to be committed to taking action.
We have to be alert, and we have to report what is happening in our homes, next door, down the block.
If anyone, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, neighbor, suspects that someone they care about is using meth and there's children in the home, the good thing is you don't have to be put in a position to confront them. A report to Child Protective Services is completely anonymous.
The meth problem is so pervasive, we have to have a comprehensive community-wide approach. We can't arrest our way out of it. We can't prosecute our way out of it.
If we could solve the drug problem, we're going to solve a majority of the crime problem.
And I think this is one program where you just can't say, let's let the other guy do it. I think you have to get involved, support the education and prevention efforts that we're trying to come about here in Arizona.
The state of Arizona, each city, each county, everybody needs to make it a priority to help support individuals in need of substance abuse recovery.
We've got to come together on this. We can fight back. I believe together we can do anything. I really believe that.
It can be done. You can take back your neighborhoods. It's worth the fight.
It started off with weed, and then it went to coke, and from there it went to meth. I lost my job. I dropped out of school, and everything was just falling apart, you know, everything. The first time when I tried to get clean, my grandmother took me into her home, and they tried to help me. You know, they tried to take me to meetings, and I ended up, you know, getting high in her house. I stole her 25th year anniversary wedding ring, and that broke me up. She went out on a limb for me, and she took me into her home. She tried to help me, and I bit the hand that fed me.
Recovery works, absolutely, and it takes a lot of work. It's tough, but the lifestyle that it gives you is so worth it, so far worth it.
It's like a ball and chain that's gone. So freedom is recovery.
I can't even tell you, it's like night and day. It is a breath of fresh air.
My life now is amazing. I've been able to do things in sobriety that I never thought that I could do.
But it really is just about living a better life, going and making amends to people that you've hurt. It's just a beautiful human connection. Like, I'm sorry for what I did, I was wrong, and I want to make it right, you know? And it's like you take that burden off of you.
There's a better life on the other side, and that as scary and as hard and painful it is, I feel so privileged and grateful that I'm sober today.
It's tough, but it can be done. But you've got to want to do it. There are people out there to help.
There is help out there. People can recover from using this drug. Pick up the phone, call for help. There are people waiting to help you.
Call, reach out when you have an opportunity. The easiest sobriety is ever going to be is today. If you wait till next week, it'll be worse. It'll be harder next month. It'll be harder. The easiest this will ever be is right now.
To the kids, I would say, you know, you have no idea what you're giving up by taking that drug. Get arrested as a drug dealer and see how many people are going to let you into Harvard.
If you start doing meth in high school, you will not graduate from high school, you will not get a good job, and more than likely you'll come see me in about 10 years.
You're not going to be able to take it just once at a party and then forget it and walk away. It'll grab you, it'll hold you, and it will change your life.
Your first hit, and that's it, you're done. You belong to meth.
Oh, man, if I was 15 again, if I was 15 and had most of the opportunities that these kids have now, I would probably be doing flips down this thing here.
However people glamorize it and whatever they say to someone to get them to use, like, it's not worth it. You lose everything in the end.
No matter how they say it and how they make it seem to be, it's not what it seems to be. Just don't take it.
You cannot do drugs, especially like meth, and expect to just be okay and be successful. You'll end up in a gutter dead somewhere or prostituting yourself. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I was a 4.0 GPA student. I lost everything. I lost my scholarship to college. I graduated at 16. It's not worth it. Don't try it, not even once.
Please don't hesitate.
A recent study on Arizona's children shows more than 4% of teens between 13 and 17 years old have tried meth.
And as you've heard tonight, there are a number of ways you can help stop the spread of meth in our community. Just visit crystaldarkness.com.
But we've also put a lot of resources for you to learn more about the problems with this drug, what parents can do to stop it, and how to find recovery.
All you have to do is visit abc15.com. We invite you to join us back here tonight at 10. With ABC 15 HD, you get more